truly believe it was because of this kind of imaginal scenes. She traveled all the way across Europe to be with me in Texas, and we spent this great awesome time together. And I truly believe that these kinds of instances can happen with you in your own life a lot of times, because I manifested these kinds of instances with specific person, different kinds of specific person all the freaking time, at work, in relationships with family, all kind of situations, you name it. This week, as I was compiling this Neville Goddard success story for you guys, where he talks about how fictional stories can become an actual reality, I was reminded of something similar from my own life, where I had created a fictional story in my own mind about this person coming to meet me from overseas, and this actually became true. This video is not about just some particular techniques or anything like that, but what it's about is living in the end, and how if you can dwell on the imagination in your mind, that can actually manifest into an actual reality out there. The bridge of incidents that happened along the way for this particular thing to happen almost seems magical, to be honest, and that's why I find it so inspiring, and I wanted to share it with you guys. So if you're interested in hearing about how I was able to manifest this specific person to come and be with me from all the way from overseas, stay tuned and let's get started. Welcome back to this video. My name is Rav Sitala. I'm a manifesting coach, and in this video I wanted to share with you a personal success story where I was able to manifest a specific person, and this happened because a fictional story that I had created in my own mind manifested into an actual reality. Also, before we begin, I wanted to share with you about our Live in the End meditations program, which is all based on Neville Goddard's techniques, and inside you can find hypnotic meditations based on techniques such as inner conversations, revision technique, and also congratulations technique, the remember one technique. And this program is all about getting you to live in the end of the reality that you want to live in, starting right now. So let's get started with the story. When I was going to college and universities back in the day, every summer I'd take a break and go to this little town called Ocean City down by Maryland. This place is more like a beach town, which is mostly open during the summer, and there are a lot of like tourists from all around who come and visit there, and they come to spend their summer vacations. I mostly went to work over there because you get a lot of like job opportunities over there, and every summer I'd go there to make a lot of money and come back to pay for my school's tuition. And there are a lot of people who'd come there to work during the summer, and some of those were exchange students would come from Europe and other parts of the world to work there during the summer, and they stayed for probably like 2 or 3 months and they'd leave at the end of that. This particular summer, as I was working there, I met this awesome person who came all the way from Europe to work over there, and we were working together as co-workers. Although we didn't work the same kind of job, we shared a lot of shifts together, and that's how we got to know each other. During the shifts, when we started to talk, we realized that we had a lot of similar kinds of experiences growing up, and not only that, we also had like similar kind of traumatic experiences that we had gone through while we were growing up, and we used to talk about that. So there was this instant kind of connection. We'd also go out to amusement parks to hang out like kids, and we'd have all kinds of fun. Also, in my mind, she started to become more than a friend, but I think because she was afraid that we had similar kinds of traumatic experiences, she started pulling away more and more, and we started becoming further apart. But we were still working together, and we had to see each other all the time, and I still ask her out to just go and hang out as friends sometimes, but she still declined my invitation, and she started to seem even more colder and colder. But I think that had to do more with how she was being stressed out because of a lot of work that we had to do. And towards the end of the summer, I personally got really worn out of working a lot, and I already had enough money to pay for my school's tuition, so I decided to enjoy more. I just went out to beach, hung out with friends, and partied and all that kind of stuff. And I only had about 2 weeks before I left and went back to college, but all of a sudden I get her text, and she said that she wanted to hang out. And after that, we went out together, and we had this really amazing time, and she said that she wanted to spend more time with me until that summer ended. During that time, we just became inseparable. We went out everywhere. We'd go out on dates and hang out. And when that time came before I had to leave and go back to my school or the town that I lived in, we made a plan where she would come to see me for a week before she left for Europe, because she had to go back too, so I was really counting on that time where we're gonna be together for 1 week, and we're just like gonna have a lot of fun. We started planning all about that. So I left and I went back to Texas, and I started attending school. And in the beginning, we were talking a lot. Also, I got busy with school, so we didn't have as much constant communication as before. That plan where she was planning to come and be with me kind of like fell apart because because she was having some financial issues, and which was pretty disappointing. And I think I got pretty frustrated and mad at the situation, and we had some arguments. And it was just stupid looking back, but we just had some kinds of like disagreements, a lot of things. And she just said that she didn't want to come to be with me. But after she left, I really started to miss her, to be honest. I didn't think we were gonna miss each other because we knew that this wasn't gonna be a long-term thing. But because I missed her so much, I started to kind of write songs because I was really into music back then. And in my mind, I would just make up scenarios about how, if she came to be with me at that time, we'd have so much good time and all that kind of stuff. And there were actually more than like 2 or 3 songs that I wrote about her in my mind and all the lovely time that we had together. Also, before I wrote songs, I always wrote backstories about like what this song is about, right? So in my mind, I'm thinking about her and me being together. So every backstory that I'm writing thinking that it's happening in the present moment. It's almost like this wishful kind of thinking as I'm writing these songs and these backstories. And although I knew that she had already gone to Europe, I still had the song with me, and in my mind I just imagined about like her and me being together, spending more time in the present tense. But also I think about our lovely dates that we had together, our lovely walks on the beach. After that, I kind of like got busy with school, and almost a year passed, and the next summer I got a new job in the same place that I live. I still was singing to this song to myself all the time because it was one of my favorite songs. And I would think about her often, not in an obsessive way, but just about those good memories. It was just these good memories that I really cherished, and that's why I kept repeating these songs in my own mind. And one day when I was at work, I saw this number from California, and usually I don't answer numbers that's not saved as contact. So I saw this number. It was from this unknown number, or this number that I wasn't familiar with, so I did not answer that. And this call kept on coming and coming, but I was still at work and I wasn't able to answer. And the next week I got an email from her, and in the email she said, "Why aren't you answering your phone? I called you last week a few times. This is my number, please give me a call back." And I was surprised because we had also talked about this earlier on, and she said that she was never gonna probably come back to America again, and she actually came back the next summer to work in California somewhere. And when we talked, we just fell back into that same mode where we had this really amazing connection with each other. And before she hung up, she asked me a question which really blew my mind, and she asked, "Rav, is it okay if I come and hang out with you? I have like a couple of weeks off before I leave here and go back to Europe." We had plenty of room for her to stay at our place, and I was like, of course. So long story short, she came and we hung out together. We had the loveliest 2 weeks together. Before we had that argument last year, I already had these images or plans in my mind where I would see myself taking her out to these lovely restaurants around my town, and that's exactly what happened. We went out to lovely places, we had a lot of fun together. At the end of that, she had to leave, which was bittersweet, but we already knew the deal, so we weren't really upset about that. But in my honest opinion, I think all of this happened because I was assuming in my mind, where I was seeing so vividly that we were spending time together, that I was just creating some imaginal scenes in my mind, which eventually got pushed out and happened in the way exactly as I had imagined. And that's why, as I was editing Neville Goddard's success story for you guys last week, that's what it reminded me of. So as you create this kind of like visualization or a vision or image or whatever you want to call it in your mind, you don't even have to believe it. A lot of times feel that it's actually happening right now, and you feel grateful for it. You feel the feelings that would be associated with it if it were already happening right now. Truly believe it was because of this kind of imaginal scenes that was going in my mind, probably not deliberately, but it was going on as I was repeating those songs in my own mind, as I was thinking about all those times we spent together and all the time we'd have spent together if she were really to come and meet me there. She traveled all the way across Europe to be with me in Texas, and we spent this great awesome time together. And I truly believe that these kinds of instances can happen with you in your own life a lot of times, because I manifested these kinds of instances with specific person, different kinds of specific person all the freaking time, at work, in relationships, with family, all kind of situations, you name it. So before you look at your own circumstances and think that what you're trying to manifest is probably impossible or that can't ever happen, I want you to think about this story, and these kinds of situations happen in real life all the freaking time. So with that thought, I want to end this video right here. But before you leave, just let me know down below what kind of desires are you manifesting currently. With that, I want to wish you all the very best. Happy manifesting. Goodbye and namaste.